For years, voices on the radical left have drawn outrageous comparisons between patriotic Americans like Charlie and the world's most evil figures, Nazis, mass murderers, and violent criminals. This kind of rhetoric isn't just inflammatory. It plays a direct role in fueling the very terrorism we're seeing across our country today. But here's the thing. I believe in the power of unity. Today in Charleston, we're seeing an incredible outpouring of strength, love, and solidarity across all races, all faiths, and all communities. It's a powerful reminder that even the most bitter legacies of hatred can be overcome. In times of tragedy, leaders are tested. The question is always this: will they choose to divide or to heal? After the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we watched Donald Trump's Oval Office speech and his press conferences. It's now unmistakably clear which path he's chosen. And we need to ask ourselves, as a country, where do we go from here? We have radicals on the left. We have radicals on the right. How do we rebuild our country from this deep division? How do we come back together? Now, I'll say something that may be controversial, but I don't care. Often when people on the right become radicalized, it's out of a desire to stop crime or protect their communities. It's not an excuse, but it's a distinction. Meanwhile, people across social media, including Midas Touch's own Ben Meiselas, are reminding us what true leadership in the face of violence should look like. Let's go back to June 17, 2015, the night of the Charleston Church massacre. A white supremacist terrorist, Dylan Roof, entered the historic Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, one of the oldest black churches in the South, and murdered 9 African Americans during their Bible study. His motives were obvious. It was racist. It was white nationalist. It was pure hate. At that time, President Obama did not take to the Oval Office to point fingers or blame an entire political party. He didn't say, "This is the fault of Republicans," or accuse his political opponents of having blood on their hands. No, he chose a different path, the path of grace. He called the nation to unity. He reminded us that in moments of darkness, we must reach for light, that in moments of hate we must choose love. At the funeral for Reverend Clementa Pinckney, one of the victims, President Obama famously broke into Amazing Grace. It wasn't just a song. It was a message, a call to our collective humanity. Compare that to today. President Trump responded to Charlie Kirk's death by calling out radical left lunatics and used the moment not to unite, but to stoke more fear, more anger. The contrast could not be clearer. Back in 2015, Obama led with humility and faith. His words resonated not because they were politically calculated, but because they were rooted in moral clarity and compassion. He said, "If we can find that grace, anything is possible." He then honored each victim by name: Cynthia Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lance, DePayne Middleton Doctor, Tywanza Sanders, Daniel Simmons Sr., Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Myra Thompson, declaring that they found that grace, and that now it was up to the rest of us to be worthy of that gift. He closed with a prayer. May grace now lead them home. May God continue to shed His grace on the United States of America. This is what leadership in a democracy should sound like. Not vengeance, not division, grace. And in this deeply fractured time, it's grace we desperately need again. President Obama's words after the Charleston massacre were not about waging political war or blaming opponents. He didn't use the moment to score points or deepen divisions. Instead, he focused on unity, on helping a deeply wounded nation heal. Fast forward to today. In the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's tragic assassination, Donald Trump's response was starkly different. Rather than calling for calm or solidarity, he leaned hard into grievance. His message wasn't about healing, it was about conflict. He blamed the left for political violence and framed the tragedy as part of a broader war. On Fox News, His allies echoed the same language. One host declared, "They are at war with us, sending the national temperature from simmering to boiling." They cited examples: Trump being grazed by a bullet, Charlie Kirk's killing, the attempted shooting of Justice Kavanaugh, vandalism of Musk's cars, the recent shooting of 2 Jewish individuals outside an embassy. "It's happening," they warned, listing trans shooters and riots in LA. "Whether we want to accept it or not, we're at war." What followed was a series of emotionally charged demands. "This ends now. Everyone is accountable. We are watching what they say on TV." The rhetoric turned from mourning to vengeance. They called for pressure on political enemies, accused opponents of inciting violence, and warned that Charlie Kirk was a casualty of war. And yet, curiously absent from the outrage was any mention of Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota Democratic state legislator assassinated just 60 days earlier, alongside her husband. There was no national moment of reflection, no press conferences, no outpouring of grief from the same people now calling for accountability. Her name was barely spoken. The contrast couldn't be more revealing. In Charleston, a white supremacist slaughtered 9 black churchgoers in a racially motivated attack. President Obama responded with a message of grace. He called on the nation to come together, even singing Amazing Grace at the funeral of Reverend Clementa Pinckney. He chose healing. Today, another president is faced with violence and tragedy, and responds with talk of enemies, battle lines, and political warfare. One leader chose unity in the face of hate. The other chose division. And when asked if he had reached out to the governor of Minnesota following the killing of Hortman, Trump replied dismissively, "Why would I call him? The guy's a mess. I could be nice to him, but why waste time? This is not just a political disagreement. It's a test of what kind of country we want to be." There is no longer a middle ground, they say. The rhetoric from parts of the right claims that the left hates the good, the true, and the beautiful, and embraces evil, lies, and ugliness. Some voices even compare today's American left to the worst dictators in history: Marx, Stalin, Lenin, Pol Pot, Fidel Castro, claiming they will literally kill those they disagree with. But moments of national crisis require more than fury. They require leadership. Even President Biden, following the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, rose to the occasion. There is no place in America for this kind of violence. Any violence. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for. It's not who we are as a nation. And he was right. Leadership isn't measured by how loud you yell or how harshly you condemn the other side. It's measured by what you say and what you choose not to say. When the nation is hurting, Obama chose grace. Trump chose grievance. That contrast speaks louder than any speech ever could.